What's up, Brainiacs? Welcome to Blabber Brain Show. On this episode, we've got a guest I think you're really going to like. We have social media superstar Gator with us. Who's Gator? Got two hints for you. WD-40 and next.
Blabber Brains.
What is up, Brainiacs? Welcome back to Blabber Brain Show. I am your host, Michael Kadrie, and the Joker over there in the Chip and the Charge-Ups hat. Giving a little plug to Chip and the Charge-Ups. The Big M, Mark Anthony, what is happening, sir?
Not much. I was in their video that they were recording last weekend. So.
And how'd that go?
It went well. I probably shouldn't even mention this piece, but we won't go into any real details of it. But
well, you got to leave it. You got to leave it be some sort of surprise.
Well, I mean, it'll be good. The rest of the audience won't know anything about it. But let's just say when I walked in for the scene that I was in Squirrel Hill, and the man who was actually directing and filming the video was Ryan Dowden from that studio. I recorded a couple songs, that including that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember that dude.
I go down there and I'm like, Chip, hey, this is the guy that, you know.
Oh, man. Was that awkward or what?
It was for me at first.
Right.
I wanted to make sure that he didn't give him a hard time. And it didn't.
Yeah.
He just say, hey, how you doing? And took
So the guy wasn't like a jag off to you or anything? Did he just ignore you pretty much?
Chip's, he's getting paid. No, no different. There's a couple times he's talking about when the audience thing, when they were playing the movie, he would say, hey, Mark, can you guys move this way? So no, he didn't ask me how I knew Chip or anything. Like, I'm recording my EP. I'm just finishing it up over at his studio.
So how about plugging the EP? How's that recording coming right now?
It's done. It's done. I just got to go tomorrow. We're starting to mix it, which that hopefully will just be done tomorrow too. And
is this going to be similar to the other EP where you're trying to deliver it for free, or are you going to try to sell it? I'm talking about like how you're delivering it to everybody.
Oh no, I'm not trying to sell it. No, it'll be the same thing, but the whole thing itself is very different, very different. I mean, it's much more upbeat. It's not as deep, although there is one song that has very deep wording, but it's pretty, it's stuff, it's two songs have some percussion on it. Chip plays a solo.
Go ahead.
Chip plays a solo on one of the songs. Says I was going to trying to figure out what to come up with. I want a little thing in there. I couldn't figure out what if I wanted it to be, with a slide or something like that. And he, and he goes, hey, I was thinking about this. I was listening to it, and he did something like, hey, that's a lot better than what I was thinking. You might as well record. Why don't you just put it on there? And there's one other little thing he played around with, some little thing on another song that's just minute. It's like 10 or 15 seconds. I'm like, yeah, throw it on there.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it, and can't wait for our audience to hear it. And do you have any
video?
Well, that's the first thing we're going to do to deliver it to people, is we're going to get it out there and give people a little taste via a video, whatever we can come up with. And always, I don't know if we can top your last one, but your scars are beautiful. That was doing pretty good. I was topping the charts on Facebook, as they say. Many people sharing it, many people liking it, and many people viewing it. So we'll have to see what we can do to kind of get creative with the next video.
Well, there'll be more. I'm going to promote this one much more than the other one. So we'll see.
I hear people are clamoring to get Cooper in the video, though. So that's got to be a must, right?
Well, he'll probably go along with it. I haven't talked to him about it yet.
He's a star. You gotta put the star in there.
He's getting older. He's getting cranky.
Right.
But no, I already know the song even going in, what song it would be for the video. I like to do 2 videos, but for this, but the first one, I mean, it's just so obvious, and you'll get a kick out of the name I'm going to go with too for this.
You want? Well, we'll save that to be a surprise, maybe, if you want. unless you want to reveal it now, but
Doesn't matter.
maybe
It's kind of funny. It's funny, but to the average person, it will make them think different. I'm going to call it, Mark Anthony, the EMI sessions. I'm serious. Just the EMI sessions. I'll come up with something that stands for E, M, and I. People will think it's like some sort of, demo or a studio session with EMI records.
East McKeesport Industry, it's
I didn't even think
industrial.
about that. I didn't even think about that. I'm going to be playing at their VFW on
There you
Saturdays.
go. East McKeesport Industrial Productions there, or whatever, recording sessions. Well, yeah, you'll figure it out. Anyways, so one thing that caught my eye over the last few months, and something I'll probably eventually end up checking out, is the Beetlejuice movie. Have you seen the previews for that?
I've heard about it, but I didn't even really care that much about the first one, to be honest with you.
I was a fan of it. I remember I was even Beetlejuice a couple of times for Halloween back in the day, when it was around. But
yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it or anything like that, but I'm not clamoring for a Beetlejuice too.
Right.
But I'm sure there are a lot of people that are, though.
I think
made a lot of money.
Based on the previews, what I did like of what I saw, I'm going to maybe backstep once. I've seen other movies where some years have passed, but something in the plot is supposed to be like not a whole lot of time has transpired and things look completely different, right? A couple examples of that would be like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. As much as I love the Bill and Ted trilogy, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was only a few years later. If the future portion that they're showing is supposed to be even further in the future, I guess Rufus could do that because he's got a time machine. But I think the time that they're showing is supposed to be pretty close to the time that it was before. But like everything has changed, and these people are wearing these like foam rubber like clothes, and the phone booth is completely different. Why would the phone booth be different if it worked fine the first time? Like, is it an upgraded model? So, but they don't explain any of that stuff. I think they were just trying to. Now it's the '90s. Now everything's got to have this certain look and feel, and they got a bigger budget. So, anytime that happens, like even the Star Trek movies, right? Like the 20 years difference in the future between when Star Trek took place and then the movies and then Star Trek The Next Generation or whatever, that's not a whole lot of time for things to drastically change, like especially like technology and whatnot to change from that point. But I think, like I said, when you start getting bigger budgets, you start thinking, oh, we got to make this better. We got to make that better. But like, that's a huge leap from where you were before. So the one thing that looked consistent was that they didn't change anything about Beetlejuice. He still looks exactly the same, right? Same, like, because why would he look different? He's supposed to be dead. He's got the same clothes on, same hairstyle, same, makeup, whatever. The only thing that I would harp on is that they didn't try to clear up Michael Keaton's wrinkles on his face looking older, because Beetlejuice wouldn't have gotten older. Right. So why does he have wrinkles now? And like with CG,
is he moving more slowly? Like, oh, my sciatica.
No. I'm just saying. Look, I've got tools on my computer that I use on a regular basis for CG to cover up stuff like that. Right. Very low budget, everyday plugins for video production. You're trying to tell me that I don't care what size budget you have for Beetlejuice, that you don't have the budget to touch up the wrinkles on his face to make it look like he is still young or still the same exact Beetlejuice from the 80s. I find it hard to believe and why they would overlook something like that. Maybe they explain it in the movie. Maybe they explain it like, hey, Beetlejuice, you look like hell now. What the heck? And he's like, well, that's where I've been living, in hell. You'd look like this too. Maybe they'll have a way to explain that. Who knows? I'm hoping they do.
Get more worn down. I can't imagine that somebody didn't put any thought into that. Maybe Michael Keaton didn't want it. Who knows? I mean, I just find it hard to believe if you could see all these wrinkles in that they're not that they had to come up with a reason for it. It can't be that they just overlooked it. There's too many people involved for them to have somebody not say, why aren't we doing Yes. That's
Look,
my opinion. I can't imagine.
even credit to Bill and Ted. In Bill and Ted 3, Bill and Ted Face the Music. Well, I can go back to 2, Bogus Journey. At the end of Bogus Journey, there was all these like newspaper clippings as to like what's going on with them in the future, right? And the writers said they had nothing to do with that. It's like the producers and the studio did all that on their own without even getting approval from the writers and the directors to say, hey, we want to do this for the end of the movie. They just did it. And it caused a big, huge problem when they were going to write the third story, but they found a way to creatively patch that up in the story and the writing, which was actually pretty good. And then they also covered, whenever Bill and Ted come back from the future, they got 2 little kids. They call them Bill Jr. and Ted Jr. And but they're girls in the new movie, and they found a way to cover that up too. Like Death, the Grim Reaper was saying, that they thought that was cute when they used to call you Little Bill and Little Ted and whatever, because it's like Willem, I forget what the name, Theodora and doesn't matter, Wilhelmina or whatever it is. So they still had the names, but I think that they were just calling them Little Bill and Little Ted because they thought it was funny or whatever. So they found a way to cover that stuff. So hopefully Tim Burton, who's a very smart guy, will find a way to work that in there, because it's pretty obvious. Like, yeah, you don't look the same, you look older, and so how are you aging when you're Beetlejuice, right? So anyways, in other things to talk about, since we are embarking upon a new football season, and we like to talk Steelers, I think that now, granted, you can't tell anything from preseason. We say this all the time, right? See, preseason doesn't show you anything. But if there's one thing that's looking pretty, I don't want to say sure, because like I said, you can't really tell anything. You and I both talked that the last time about all these moves that the Steelers were making that on paper seemed to be upgrades and making a ton of moves. And maybe we speculated that they were like trying to give Tomlin no excuses to win, not to win rather. And we still said, you know what, they're probably still going to be 8-9 or 9-8, whatever. And after looking at this preseason, the way this offense is running, I mean, they might be lucky to get to 8-9. What's your thoughts on that? I've
been playing when the games have been on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I haven't.
I didn't know if you saw any highlights or anything like that.
No, I know. I saw the last few minutes of the one on Saturday. And I saw a couple little pieces. Like I got to see a missed field goal from us. What was that? Probably in the first half, but.
Well, between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, the most that those two have been able to muster over 2 games is 3 points.
Yeah, and look at last year when it looked like the Steelers' offense would be unstoppable going into the season.
Yeah,
because of the preseason. So
then they lost to 2 of the worst teams in the league.
Yes,
back-to-back weeks.
And Pickett didn't look good all season for the most part. So.
I know, yeah, it could go either way. I get that, and it's just preseason, and there's no sense to jump down their throats.
I think it's going to take
I think so too.
I think they're going to struggle for a while. Then the second half of their schedule is really boring. I don't see them being ahead of Baltimore and Cincinnati if there's no injuries to any of their star players. I mean, Cincinnati had all kinds of issues last year to deal with around quarterback play. So
I think I saw somewhere recently where it said that the last time the Steelers finished last in their division was like back in the 90s or even like 89 or something like that. It was like something ridiculous. They were like the like number 1 or number 2 on the list as far as the length of time that they finished last in their division. It's crazy.
I think it could happen this year. I really do. I mean, although Cleveland might just fall right back apart. They had some promise, but quarterback. If neither Cincinnati and Cleveland didn't at times, dealing with the quarterback issues, I don't know if we would have gotten into the playoffs, frankly.
Right.
I think
No.
we would have had it. I think we would have had two more losses, or at least one, and it would be to one of those teams,
I know.
or
And
both.
there's nothing to say that any team that was great last year is still going to be great this year, right? It's really just a crapshoot. It's based on your schedule. It's based on injuries. It's based on if you're performing up to standards or below standards. And oftentimes the Steelers perform below standards, but maybe they catch lightning in a bottle and they get off to a 4-0 start or a 5-0 start, and that helps matters. But I'm just saying, I think that anybody who's excited about the changes that the Steelers made, when you go back to what I said before, just be patient and don't expect greatness. If it happens, great, let's celebrate, right? I'm not saying they're not going to be a better team. I'm saying don't get upset if they're not a better team. I'm saying that, that just because they made all these moves and on paper everything looks great, that doesn't always translate. So, but do you think that even though they re-up Tomlin for his contract, which I didn't think they were going to do, although
I
making
knew they
making
weren't
all
letting
these,
him go unless he wanted to go.
well, I know, but making all these moves with the roster almost projected that they were going to give him at least another year. Do you think he's going to be on that short leash? Do you think they're going to say, hey, we gave you all the tools and you still laid an egg? You still didn't get into the playoffs, or you're still one and done, or whatever the situation is? Do you think he's going to be on a short leash?
I think he's got 2 years. I think next year, look, the schedule is really hard in the second half, especially. And all of our division games are right there too. So I don't expect them to really be. Now I'm thinking 8-9, 9-8 again, and maybe we get into the playoffs. But I think Russell Wilson will look better as the season goes on. I really do. But I think that Tomlin, yeah, I think unless, I'm not saying that he has to win a Super Bowl by any means, but I think if they struggle as they did the last couple of years, if they do that next year and the following year, yeah, I think what they'll do is they'll do like what they did with Chuck Noll and make it look like he's going to move on. Well,
Right.
Noll obviously at his age was to retire, but I think that's what they'll do. I don't think they'll just come out and yank him. I think they'll try to come up with a way, even though we know if it happens, if that's what ends up happening, I think we may know that's not the reality of it, but I think they'll try to paint that picture. I don't see them dragging him through the dirt and making a fool
Right.
out of him. Not as long as he's been here.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they want to do everything they can for him to be successful. I don't know. I'm still happy with the changes they made. I thought it was better than what they had.
Conversely, let's say they make the playoffs and win one playoff game and that's it. That's a step forward.
He's not.
You think they get all boned up about it? Or
I don't even know if they're boned up about it, but I think they'll let things continue on, and it will also be how he's perceived here. I mean, he really took a beating last year by everybody. I'm surprised he still even wants to be here. I can't imagine.
Well, that's what I've been saying. Like, why wouldn't you want to move on?
How old is his kids? Are they now out of?
I have no idea.
If they're out of high school now, it might be a different story. But it's probably a good thing. Don't like a lot of coaches. Every couple of years, your kids, your family's being uprooted. You have children. I think that had something to do with it. But they got to be older now. How long has he been here? What? 17 years.
His 18th season, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So he had kids then. So yeah, now they're probably in college, or the youngest I would think would be in college right now. So maybe after 2 years, if things aren't going well and he's still getting abused here by all the fans, I think he'll leave. I think they got 2 years. I think if they have a, at least by year 2, if they have a good season, maybe they at least win a playoff game and not get their asses kicked like it usually is, it seems, in a postseason, I think they'll be okay with that. If it's because it looks like things are starting to get good, not lucky breaks, that four best teams we played, our quarterbacks are out in all four games. That's
Right.
my thought. I think they want to do everything they can to keep them. And I don't think the Steelers like being wrong. I don't think the Rooneys like being wrong or perceived in being wrong. So I
I
think
noticed one thing that was kind of, I'm not sure if anybody picked up on this when they were seeing the videos, but I was pretty keen to it. There was some videos going around that the Steelers were putting out there about the players talking about the kind of coach that Tomlin is. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm not sure if you saw that or not.
I did.
Every single one of those players, they all talked about his character, about what a stand-up guy he is, about this and that. It was, everything was about his character. There's not one person that talked about how great of a coach he is and how creative or how, he's always looking to improve on the plays and blah, 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 which is what a coach's job. A coach's job is not to be a great guy. A coach's job is to be a great coach and come up with great plays and winning strategies. And like not one of them said, this guy just doesn't give up. He's always trying to look for new ways to win. And he gets frustrated when we lose and blah, blah. Everything was about how great of a guy he was. So does that mean that like they couldn't find one player to say something good about how great of a coach he is? It was all about how good of a man he is?
I don't know. Maybe that's what they wanted to convey to everybody, but I could see players wanting to be coached by him. I could see that, but I get that. And they're probably right about that part, but that doesn't.
Oh, I don't have a doubt.
It doesn't equal success though. I mean, it can, but it's not in this case.
Although the funny thing is, I'm not sure if you ever saw that video. I keep seeing it over and over again. That one guy, I guess he was standing in the hallway of where the Steelers come in and out, and he was cheering on Mike Tomlin. He goes, "Let's go, Coach Tomlin, let's go get him." And he's like, "Hey, I'm fucking working here." Sorry, excuse my language, but but he's like yelling at the guy, like dropping an F-bomb. And I'm like, that doesn't show him to be a good stand-up guy. He was like, he could have like, yeah, let's get him, whatever. I mean, he could say thank you or whatever.
You don't think I was there for comedy?
No, I do not think. He looked pissed off whenever he was being bothered by that guy. And the guy's just like,
I didn't
geez.
say a piece. I just thought maybe it'd be a good comedic piece.
Now, maybe it could have been a setup. I doubt it. But why would Tomlin want to make himself look like bad like that? Even if it was funny, the guy was just like, geez, you know what I mean? So anyways, I don't know. I thought that kind of goes against the, hey, he's a great guy scenario. But I mean, sure he is to the guys, but maybe to the general Q public, maybe different. But I mean, we've done stuff with Coach Tomlin here at my workplace, and he never gave us a hard time. So who knows? Maybe he was just having a bad day. Maybe it was
but that's just a human thing to do.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes, who knows? He could have been aggravated about something, coming out the door. Who knows what was going on? There's some crazy trade issue or player problem, or aggravated about something at home. Who knows?
Yeah, it could have been. He could have just got off the phone and had a really bad conversation, or maybe he got bad news or something like that. Who knows? It could have been anything. I can't prejudge people.
Yeah, everybody gets a little pissed here and there. He's in a high stress job. It's not like he's digging sewer lines. Everything he does is, across the United States. Everybody knows what's going on. It's the only, how'd you like the whole country, every aspect of what you do.
Right.
It would suck.
Well, the time will tell whether the Steelers have a good season or not. Always remain optimistic at the beginning of the season. Regardless, right? You just want to see good games. You want to see them be competitive and at least put up a fight and try, for crying out loud. Sometimes it just doesn't seem like they're even trying. So we'll see if they have a better season coming up. But there's a couple more things I want to get to before we get to our special guest coming up. Internet sensation, our first internet superstar, Gator, will be with us here momentarily. But there is a couple things the Big M and I have to boast about. So let's cue it up.
Blabber boast.
All right. So I'm going to let you go first on your boast. So we got a couple things to boast about. So what do you got there, Big M?
Well, I don't know. I guess it's something to boast about. This fall, I'll be doing a Facebook only podcast, Mark Anthony Show, interviewing local musicians here, southwestern Pennsylvania, maybe a little bit into Ohio and West Virginia, maybe even up to into New York. Also venues that have bands and talk, anything related to entertainment around in this region. Probably a performance here and there, a little bit of comedy. Talk to solo performers and bands here in the area, learn a little more about them and what they're up to, and promote them and promote myself a little bit too in what I do musically.
Are you going to be jamming at all in the podcast at all? Or are you going to be just performing?
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
I don't know whether people want to hear it or not's another question, but yeah, I just haven't been doing much with it lately. I want to get my EP, taken care of where I can put that to the side, and then I'll be talking more and actually trying to get more people to join and start putting together some content and some real interaction. Right now it's just last month that I haven't done anything with it really, except for one post. So, and
do you have like a target date, like October or whatever, or just end of September?
Actually, originally I was thinking the end of September. I would like to have more what do you call them, subscribers, I guess.
Right.
So, I'm hoping at the end of September.
It's really hard to get subscribers without content, right? Like it's like you need the subscribers to get things off the ground, but you can't get things off the ground until you have subscribers, and you can't have subscribers until you have content. So, it's chicken and egg thing. So, but
I need to run some ads and talk a little bit about what's going to be in that. And I just haven't done ads. So,
right.
I got picked up I picked up some action for a couple weeks, and then really very little since then. So yeah, I want to have at least 500 subscribers or followers or whatever you want to call it.
All right. Well, I'll briefly talk about my Boast, and then we'll get our guest on here next. But I am going to be also on a new endeavor called launching a podcast called Rock Your Faith Out. And it's going to be a conversational podcast interview. It's with, Christian artists, rock artists, actors, people of prominent, talking about their faith, talking about how they came into their faith, how they use it on a daily basis, how they maybe try to inspire people. So I'm going to go about it a little bit differently. But I'm going to try to record a few shows like in a short period of time. So I have a few in the can, and then, sporadically release them and stuff like that. So my target date to get something like that out would probably be about the same, maybe end of September, beginning of October, somewhere like that. But we'll have to see how everything pans out and how I can line people up. I'm going to be starting to do that soon, get people on the calendar, and it'll be a new adventure for the Big M and I. So, but we're not fully done with Blabber Brain Show just yet, but so hang in there. So, but anyways, let's end this segment.
Blabber Boast.
All right, Big M, let's get ready to welcome Gator in here. I think that you're going to find him amusing, and hopefully maybe he'll give us a few tips that he hasn't given anybody else just yet. It'd be fun to talk with him. So anyways, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Gator.
Blabber Brains.
Hey, this is a great question. I get this a lot. I've covered this a few times in the past over the few years, and we're going to do it one more time for you, okay? It's regular WD-40, a light coat, okay? Just around the edge of your windows, on the brick, all the way around. This is going to keep the spiders away, to keep the bugs away. It's going to keep them down to a minimum. You spray it up here on your soffits, it's going to keep the bees from making nests. And also, if you put the straw in here, you get about 20 foot of spray. It'll also kill the nest. All right, then. Y'all have a good day. Next.
All right, welcome back to Blabber Brain Show. We are so pleased to welcome to the show social media superstar, Gator. Let's give him a big round of applause.
What's going on, fellas?
Believe me, there's a big, huge applause. You can't hear it maybe through
There's
your
a studio audience
headset.
over
Yeah,
here
there's
in
a
the
studio
corner.
audience.
That's right.
You can only hear it in the post-production. So anyways, thanks so much for joining us. I know we had a false start there.
Yeah, man.
You've been dealing with a lot down there. First you had Debbie Does Florida, then you have COVID. And so everything
crazy,
going
man.
good right now?
Yeah, everything's good. And like I say, the hurricane happened, and then it was just a mess. And then I had to go out of town. And then I got sick. I was like, man, we back on track now, I think, though.
That's good, man. So, yeah, I think you're our first social media celebrity that we've had on the show here. So it's going to be a little bit different.
Man.
Usually we have musicians and comedians and actors and whatnot on the show, but so we want to try to mix it up. I first came across you because you just started popping up in my feed about, I don't know, a year or two ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And I started, and I like, oh, that guy's pretty, entertaining, whatever. But then like, hey, he's got a lot of good tips. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of good tips. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll just follow the guy. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, it's like, you're like blowing up. I don't do TikTok at all. I'm sorry. I don't do TikTok. I'm on Instagram. But you really kind of caught
so
fire.
You found me on Instagram
TikTok.
From the beginning?
I found you on Instagram. Yeah.
When you found me on Instagram, I'd already had probably 1.5 million followers on TikTok before I even got on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't plan on it. It just kind of happened,
Yeah. So how, take us through that. I know a bit of your story. You were on with my good friend Chris DiCarlo and talking with her, and so awesome. I know a little bit about your backstory, but our audience hasn't heard your story yet. So how did this happen? How did the whole thing blow up?
So, I've been doing construction, building houses and stuff my whole life, and my son was on TikTok and he would send me stuff. I didn't have TikTok. I've never even been on social media ever until now. And I just kind of got on there messing around, and posted a few videos. And I think I gained like 100,000 followers before I even put my face on there. I was just taking like viral videos offline. I was just playing, that was it. And then one day, just out of the blue, a buddy of mine I was working at a rental house and he said, man, you should make that your content. And I said, man, nobody want to see about working on high water here. He's like, man, you'd be surprised. So I made a video and it just freaking did like 30 million views in about 2 days. Wow. And I was like, whoa. And people just started asking questions. It was like, how do you fix your toilet? How do you fix your door? And I was like, man, this is crazy. So then I started making that and it was just on. And then tape measure, how to read a tape measure and different tricks with a tape measure. That's kind of what started it. And everyone was just like 20 million, 30 million, 20 million. I was like, this is crazy. And the next thing you know, I had 500,000 followers. And then I started doing like pool noodle videos and I was still doing home repair stuff. And I just kind of started mixing everything in. And then it kind of settled out there like around 600 or 700. And once I started the WD-40 stuff, man, it freaking took off again. They started doing 20 and 30 million views each. And then the next thing, here we are, just a lot of luck, but all this stuff I do, like I'm in the rental business still. I work every day. I have a full-time job. The stuff I'm doing, the stuff I've done so many times in the past, I just have to make it work, Right. And that's where it comes from. I've done a lot of stuff. My dad was in the Army for 30 years. They sprayed WD-40 on everything. And it was just I just happened to be down in the garage and I was like, I was using WD-40. I was like, I think I'll just make a video about this. I had no idea that it was going to do all that,
Right. Yeah. But like every time I would see you, I would just, it would catch me like whenever you were doing something. But the thing I think that got me to follow you of all the stupid things, I don't even own a pool, but the stuff you were coming up with pool noodles.
The pool.
And I'm like, well, like, that's pretty creative. You know what I mean?
It was.
And because everybody's got a pool, got them sitting around, you know?
And I was building a pool here. So I was I was doing like pool content and I made one video about a pool noodle because I'd put it on like a bucket handle. And then people were like, what else can you do with pool noodles? And I was like, well, shit, you can do a lot of things. Just kind of, the comments just kind of dictated all of that, And
well, the other thing too is I have been a fan of WD-40 and I use it for a lot of different things besides, making sure my doors don't squeak, which is, I think a lot of people just have this around to make sure that things don't squeak. But I use it for a lot of different things. And I know that when this stuff first came out, people used it for like all-purpose everything. There's like a whole list of stuff. I remember seeing an ad back in the 50s or something like that of like a list of 30 different things that they said the WD-40 could do. And they used to put that in advertisements. And it's just crazy.
I mean,
but
my dad, they sprayed it on everything, all the tanks, their equipment. I mean, I sprayed it on my bikes. I mean, my dad had that stuff all over the house, but I used to spray it on my boots when I was building houses. I would spray it on my boots, and it would like keep them waterproof when it rained and stuff like that. And that was the first one I did. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna. And so I did that one, and that's the one that kind of took off. And then people just started asking, so I just started showing everything it did, and it just kind of went. And then one random day, WD-40 reached out to me, said, we see you. And it just kind of went from there. Now here we are, doing stuff.
Well, you also got yourself up to what, about 3 million TikTok followers?
3 million.
Something like that. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
And something like, what are you like? It's like almost 700,000 on Instagram or something.
Yeah, and probably 500,000 on Facebook. But Facebook, I just started a few months ago, and so it was like I was getting recognized around town, and people were like, "Man, I love you on Facebook," and I was like, "I don't even have Facebook." What? And so I started looking on there, and there was like 50 fake accounts, and one of them had about 700,000 followers, and I was like,
"Holy smokes,
this is crazy!" So I started my Facebook page, and it was tough. People were coming on there telling me I'm the fake page. They still do. But now it's over 500, but the fake account's well over 1 million,
Right.
And then
that's
people
awesome.
are like, you need to get a check mark. Now they charge $20 a month for a check mark.
Why do that? You don't need that. You've already got the followers. What do you need the check mark for?
I was like, I just don't, I do this for fun. I mean, it is what it is. It's just people like, I reported it. And like, I don't, I appreciate it, but I don't care about that,
Do you bother monetizing anything like on TikTok, or you just like,
I'm
not worried about that?
I do on TikTok, they for like the views, but I don't like, I'm big time against like the TikTok store and like people that make all these videos and like click my link and it's in my bio. I don't do any of that. Like I just don't do that because I don't feel like people should have to click a bunch of links to learn something, like it doesn't cost you anything to watch my videos, and I don't say, I might talk about WD-40, but you can buy it anywhere you want,
Right.
And people tell me all the time, you need shirts, you need to do this, you need to put a link. Like, I don't want links, man, because that's not me. I'm not a salesman. I'm just, if I'm not using the tool, I'll tell you about it, but I'll tell you, go to Home Depot.
There's no Gator OnlyFans channel. Yeah.
No. And I probably could do all the links and stuff, but that's just not how I got where I'm at.
Right.
I'm just not that guy,
Yeah.
You got stuck by that for a long time. And I think people, relevant to that, I really do.
I mean, like, because there's talk about TikTok being banned in the United States, and that might possibly happen. I'm like that too. I mean, maybe they might change it or monetize it, or I mean, not monetize it, regulate it. But if that were to happen, I mean, obviously your life isn't based on that.
No, I'm good because I'm so far beyond that now. It's just. They could shut down tomorrow. Wouldn't affect me none.
Right. See, that's what's cool because there's so many people that are on that's their life's blood. Right. That's like everything to them. I see
lots of people over there with 2 million followers, and then they're on Instagram with 500.
Right.
I've just been fortunate.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it even cooler. The fact that you got to that level organically. You know what I mean? That you're not like, because there's so many people that set out to do that because that's what they want to do for a living and that's how they want to make their money and everything like that. And yours just exploded organically.
It's just so hard to do that. You can't, just people ask me all the time, how do you get the views and how do you go viral? I was like, man, it just happens or it doesn't. You can't control that. It's your content. People would always make WD-40 videos. They would like, I'm going to make a video. I said, man, it ain't the WD-40, it's the way you present yourself, and people 100%. Can see that stuff. People that follow me know, like I do this every day. Like this is what I do for a living. I do the stuff. So, and people send me emails every day. They want me to promote videos. And I said, man, I don't do that because I can't go on there and say, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I've never even used it before. Like I would feel bad if I was telling people to go get, you know what I mean? So I don't do that. And it's worked out for me. I'm lucky that I got the WD-40 pick me up and, that's kind of what I do. And Ace Hardware and Home Depot as well, so I've just been real fortunate, but I'm just honest with what I say, and I'm not trying to BS nobody. It ain't for everybody, but I've done all that stuff at a time or two.
Well, I mean, the one thing I know is, characters, right? I'm a writer. I work in the film industry and video production and stuff like that. So I know characters and you're right. It's about how you present it. You are, I mean, I don't mean this in a derogatory way. You are a character, right? In a way that is appealing. That's appealing to people, right?
I mean,
it's the way you're presenting yourself. Right.
I had
but I'm
no
just saying,
idea,
it's
you know.
but that's why the organic side of this took off, is because you're naturally being you and you're not
I
trying to
think
come up with
so.
some gimmick. You
I
know,
think so too. You know, when I started doing it, you know, I didn't, until I started posting myself, you know, and people would just, I just used to laugh. I'm like, I can't believe people watch it, you know, because it's just me. All my buddies laugh. They're like, dude, you're crazy. But they've seen me all my whole life like this. You know, I'm like, man, this is just me. Like, I don't make this, like when I go make a video, I just hit record, start talking. I don't like take 45 takes. It just is what it is, you know, and it's just all, and then the next turn, you know, one day I just randomly said that.
right?
And people started asking about it. I was like, what are y'all talking about? And I
Yeah,
had
why
to
didn't
go
you
back
do
and
that?
I was like, oh, I didn't realize I even said that, you know? So I started saying, it's just been this crazy thing, you know, and I'm really interacting with my fans, man. That's another thing. It's like, I answer comments, people out 10 comments. Just like a lot of people don't do that, you know? And that's
Right.
how I tell people, I tell them, that's how you can tell if the account's fake. Those big accounts
Right.
on Facebook that are fake, they're not answering questions in the comments. I'm in every comment section laughing. Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you, dude. You know, like that's me, you know? And I think
Well, that's
people
one
really
thing I kind
appreciate
of
that.
liked. One of the things I think you started doing more recently is getting back at the trollers or the haters or whatever. You know what I mean? You started
I have to be
these
careful.
people who would leave like these rude comments, and
They
you
do,
would just
man.
like, dude, you're so far off base, whatever.
I used to snap
mean,
on them.
I love that
try
though.
not-
But
I mean, there's a lot of them I let go. Some people are like, you shouldn't comment. I'm like, dude, I get 5,000 a day. I only respond to one a week. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I have to really be careful what I say because people are crazy, man. But
oh, they get touchy.
I try
Yeah,
not to let
they're
it bother me
triggered.
too much. But sometimes it's just like, some people just say the dumbest thing, you know. It's like,
Well, especially
like
when it
I'm
comes
just
to
on
like
here
the,
making this up, you know.
the dishonest things that they're saying about WD-40 and stuff like that. When they
It's
start
silly,
saying
man.
that, you know, this is, you know, petroleum based or whatever, or that, what was the
That's
latest one?
flammable.
It was flammable,
It's
or
flammable.
yeah,
That's the
flammable,
most
and it's
ridiculous
fish oil,
Fish
stuff like
oil.
that. You know what I mean?
So the funny
I mean, it's
thing
just
about the
stupid
fish
stuff
oil,
like
Using
that.
that for my heart condition.
I know, man. I did the fish oil this morning. On Instagram, I posted it this morning about the fish oil from yesterday because the guy,
Yeah.
I was like, man, these people are killing me. And they still came in the comment section like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. It's fish oil. I'm like, how are you going to tell me what it is? And then WD-40 comes in theirself and says, say it louder for the people in the back. It's not fish
Right.
oil.
That's
WD-40
funny.
So
themselves
what's the
commented. And
problem
I'm
with
like,
it being fish
people want to
What's the
spray it on their
problem with-
fishing lures
with fish?
and say it attracts fish, man, but it doesn't. That was the
That's
whole
funny.
thing.
I
That's
thought-
why. That's
I
why
thought
it attracts
you
fish.
All right, here's a
thought you
WD-40
meant
question
that-
for you. I got a WD question. How much has this product changed over the years?
Man, it hasn't changed at all. Other than the way it
I think
looks.
that's my point. If because my point would be, if this thing had like a 1,000 different purposes back in the day, why would you need to change it or improve on it, right?
They
And it's
haven't-
probably,
they haven't.
the formula for this is probably, I'm willing to bet, if it has changed at all, it's changed less than 5%.
It's
as far as the
minute,
ingredients.
you know.
Mine,
And
yeah,
they just,
exactly.
it's been WD-40 forever, you know, but now over the years, they've got all these different products. And that's kind of where I kind of got lucky because nobody really knew about that stuff, you know, and I'm using silicone. They're like, don't spray WD-40 on your garage door, but it's WD-40 silicone. Well, I didn't know they had silicone, you know. It's like, well,
Right,
and that's where
right.
people are kind of like, couldn't really understand what was going on, you know. And I
Right.
still tell WD-40, I'm like, man, people don't know. They didn't even know the straw sprayed 2 ways. They're like, it says it right on the can. I'm like, but nobody got time to read that.
Well, I
They
guess
wanna
nobody's
see
tried
it.
to spray it
I didn't
with,
know
with
it
the,
until
with the handle
until I
down, you
saw
know?
your
Yeah,
video.
I mean, and then I started thinking, I was like, I mean, you really wouldn't even try to spray it like that. I mean, you just flip the straw up automatically every time. You don't even think about it.
But it even says on the can there. It
It even
says,
says right on
sprays
the
2
can.
ways.
Well,
It says
I mean,
right on the
Right on
can.
the can.
Sprays,
I'm
sprays
looking at
2
the
ways.
opening right now, and I never thought about it until your video. Honestly,
I didn't even know. People started, I was like, man, I can't. I was like, this is crazy. And a lot of my friends were like, man, I didn't even know that. I was like, what? I mean, I guess I just didn't pay attention.
Okay, so
I don't spray it like that.
Who do you go to learn things, or do you know everything?
No, I mean, you know, I've got a lot of buddies in this business, you know, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and that's really how I learned over the years. Is I just call somebody, hey man, have you ever seen this with a toy? And they would tell me, oh man, try this, try that, and it's just trial and error over all the years. You know, I would say 90% of the questions that people ask me, I've already done it or heard about it because I've been in this construction trade for so long, over 30 years now. You know, and
Right. Well, yeah.
I've been in the rental business for over 20 something years. I still rent properties right now. I fix all my own stuff. If somebody calls me right now, I go over there and fix it, And if I can't fix it, I call a buddy. Hey man, you ever seen this? And it's just, you just learn, And I've learned a lot. And my dad was a mechanic in the Army, and he fixed things and worked on stuff. And I'm a pretty quick learner, man. I pick up pretty quickly on things, and I've just been like that my whole life.
Do your any of your buddies who are in a profession say, "Hey, why don't you get me on and ask me a question how to
all
do
the
something?"
time.
They all
They're
come
like,
to
man,
you,
I need to start. They're like, I need to make videos. I was like, man, it ain't that easy, but go right ahead. You should make videos, but it's not about. It's just they don't have the same personality,
Right. Yeah, and it might not fly as good. You know what I mean? It's because, like you said, it's all about how are you going to attract people's attention to at least get past because if it's you have 5 seconds or less to capture someone's attention when they're scrolling, right?
Right.
And it's usually within the first 3 seconds. So if whatever you're saying or however you're presenting yourself to look or the way you talk or whatever you have in your hand, if that's not grabbing people's attention in the first 3 seconds, you've already lost them.
And it's changed so much over the last, 2 years ago, I was making WD-40 videos that were 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and I was out. I'd be like, spray it here, do it there. All right, then next. And it was like that. And it was, but now I can't make a 20-second video how to fix your toilet, so it's like over, I'm trying to keep it under a minute and a half because that's all I got on Instagram. So I try to keep it between a minute and a half or less, but I know people don't want to sit there and watch these long videos. It's not YouTube, but I can only do so much. People are like, man, you left this. I'm like, man, I've only got 90 seconds. It's really hard to, squeeze that stuff in because if I can't on TikTok, I can make 5 minutes, but then I have to make a whole nother video for Instagram and it just becomes this big job. It becomes a lot of work, and I'm like, I don't have time to sit out here for 3 hours and edit videos. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think you'll ever be short of content. Like you said, people are always asking you questions because you can always just dip into people to say, okay, here's how you do this or that.
That's what I'll do. I'll go to the comment section. I'll see a comment and I'll save it. Be like, oh, I'll do that next week or, and I try to help everybody. And a lot of times I tell people, just email me. I wish I could help everybody, but I tell them, man, it's not easy, and it's hard from here. And I have people email me all the time, send me pictures of their faucet, and I try to help them. And I do that for free. I tell people, don't nobody make me answer these emails. I'm answering this stuff on my freaking phone, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, people are like, what do you use to record? My iPhone. It's very basic. My AirPods, my microphone, my iPhone with a busted screen on the back is my camera. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's anything fancy. It's just
that's the way you got to do it, though. If you're doing a lot of content, you got to be able to fine tune. I
don't have a bunch of ring lights. I've got a little $8 tripod I carry around with me. Now I have my iPad. I do these on, but that's just how I do it. And it just works. I'm outside. I'm like that's what I'm doing.
Well, if you ever get bored with the content, I've got a great idea for you.
Okay.
You've heard of The Onion and the Babylon Bee?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how they're like satirical and whatever. Yeah. For the longest time, people didn't know The Onion was like satirical. They thought it like it was all real. And the same thing with Babylon Bee. They thought it was like all real stuff, and it's all satirical, all funny. If you ever get bored with this stuff, what you do is you start a different channel that's all satirical ways to fix things, right? And it's just the most ridiculous ways to repair something they're like, there's no way that's going to work. And so people just almost like you try to get them to do it the way you're showing them. Right. And just have fun with it, whatever. But that's just if you get bored. You probably do something like that.
That's crazy. Sometimes I'll go, sometimes I'll go a week and not have nothing to do, but it just, then or I won't have a, and then all of a sudden I'll get 2 or 3 in one day. I'm like, oh, I remember, just whenever, I don't try to sit around and think of anything, because then I think it becomes more, not realistic,
I was just going to ask you that. So do you only post like when something comes to you, or you got something? Because I'm sure, like you said, you'll probably think of something and maybe, that's stupid. Nobody will like that or whatever.
I would like to post a video every day, but it's not possible. But sometimes I'll go 3 or 4 days. Like I've been sick. It's been like a couple of weeks. I finally posted one yesterday, but people ask me the question and I won't have a toilet to work on, but I'll go make a little mock up like I did with a board. And I'll be like, here's your sink drain. And I just try to, make it where somebody could try to understand. If you can work on things a little bit, you can understand. A lot of people just don't know, But yeah, it's not easy, man. It gets tough because I fixed about everything. When I first started doing it, I was like, man, I had 100 videos and I was like, oh, I can fix the door. I can do this. It was on and on and on. But I still get those same questions every single day. How do you adjust your door? How do you fix the door every day?
Do you ever think that you'll just get tired of this and like, I'm just done, whatever?
I don't know. I enjoy doing it. So it would have to really become a big time job, you know, for me to really say, you know, I'm out. But I just don't see it because I enjoy doing it. You know, I think it's cool. I think it's cool the responses and the people that reach out and, you know, thank me for, you know, for learning. And, you know, that's what makes me want to keep doing it. I get hundreds of comments a day and emails, you know, thank you for the videos. You helped me fix my sink. It's been broke for 10 years. And that's what makes me keep going, you know. The rest of the stuff is just what it is, you know.
I was going to say, is it harder to become like a household name, even though you got millions of followers? Like where I'm going with this is, like I was telling my daughters that you were going to be on the show next, right? And they're like, yeah, I don't know who that is. And then I showed them a video, like, oh, I know exactly who that is. You know what I mean? So they have facial recognition. They know exactly who you are by your videos. But if you just say Gator, like they don't know JM Gator or whatever, they don't know the name.
People don't know. They see me and they're like, aren't you that dude from, they'll say, aren't you that dude from online, does the board WD4? Like people see me out and be like, aren't you that dude? They're like, yeah, I'm that dude. They're like, oh man, that's crazy. You know, stuff like that. So I think it's kind of cool.
In your position, you probably don't need to have name recognition, but it's more about face recognition because of the way you're doing videos.
Yeah, people don't really recognize the name too much every now and then, but yeah, people just see me, you know, when I'm out and they'll be like, hey man, you know, I saw y'all like your videos, and it's pretty basic most times. Some people, you know, are a little more extreme, but it's always at Home Depot or Lowe's. And like every time I go there, there'll be 3 or 4 people at least, but I have to go there a lot and get stuff, you know. Sometimes, you know, I enjoy it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Scotty's
put on glasses and a hat and go as somebody else in disguise.
I laugh at my buddies. I'm like, man, I got to get a hat and mustache. If you want to go to lunch, we laugh about it all the time. You know, I make a lot of jokes, and I'm still a regular dude. That's why, you know, I do post a lot of silly stuff sometimes, but I try to relevate to everybody. Like, cause you know, I don't post, you know, I don't say a bunch of cuss words, and I try not to post a bunch of, you know, crazy music because there's so many people, different ages that watch it, you know. So I try to be real.
Has doing all this like spurred you to want to have other endeavors like on with the internet or with what you're doing with tips and tricks, and maybe like you said, because you don't always get to do full how-to videos. But I mean, I don't know. Do you have endeavors to do something beyond like the quick hits on TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, I would
Instagram?
love to just teach people how to fix things. You know, whether it be a show or a class or whatever. I think I could definitely get down like that. Because I
think maybe WD-40 could sponsor a whole channel where, you know, as a sponsorship, you could do like a half-hour, you know, fix it thing or whatever. You know what I mean?
They've tried to talk about stuff. It's just really hard. They're such a big company. It's like it takes a lot. You know, they're a huge company, so it's not like even when they sponsor me, it wasn't just like, hey, do you want a sponsorship? It was like this 1.5 year, you know, interview. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a long process. And they're like, well, how about you make 1 video? And then it was like, and then a while later, well, how about you make 3 videos? I mean, it took a while, you know, it just doesn't happen like that, you know. It's just a lot of luck, you know. And now they're, you know, sending me places and got me representing them in different places, you know, and it's really cool, man. Like
That's
I just
awesome.
went to Chicago, you know, they had a big Ace Hardware event and they sent me down there to, you know, talk about their precision pen and had me in their booth, and it was really cool, man, you know.
Right.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah. I guess just representing their brand, I guess, you know what I mean?
Right. Like they wanted me there because people recognize me, you know, and they see me and, you know, and they come over there and, you know, that's why. And I'm just like, you know, a lot of it's just, I'm humbled, man. I'm like, I'm just a regular dude. So this is all like above my level, you know what I'm saying?
Were you known as Gator before you started all this? Is that why you chose that name? And was that a nickname that you had?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Tallahassee, so that's where the Seminoles are, and I'm a Gator fan, so everybody called me Gator since I was little, and that's just kind of where it happened, man, you know. And the reason I had the JMG 8 is because the JMG 8 with an A was gone back in the day when I started. That was my email since email came out, you know. So when I started TikTok, I was like, oh, I'll just make that my screen name. I had no idea.
Funny.
You know what I mean? Yeah, that's just all it was. I used to have a Gator logo as my profile for a long time. Then I was like, I better take this down. They might say I can't have that or something.
Well, who are some of your favorite former Gators that made it to the NFL?
Man, if you talk about going to the NFL, the list gets real small. But you know,
Well, hey, I mean,
I like
what about a Florida superstar? Didn't Fred Taylor go
I
there?
grew up in the, you know, I grew up watching them. You know, the '90s was a big part of me. You know, I grew up. My dad was always a big fan. You know, Emmitt Smith. You know, things like that. And Neil Anderson. You know, stuff like that. I used to hear the names when I was a kid. But the whole '90s, you know, with Danny Werfel and that first national championship team. You know, those were, you know, that was what I really relevated. And, you know, Tebow and all that stuff was great too.
Tim Tebow, yeah.
But they
He
just
beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
He did, and we just haven't been real successful with guys in the pros. Not quarterbacks, not running backs.
Definitely
We've had some linebackers and some secondary guys, but we just haven't been.
The Steelers had Marquise Pouncey, the former Gator.
Man, the Pouncey twins were so good, but they're linemen, you know. We've had a few. Emmitt Smith was probably one of the best, you know, ever, but we weren't nothing back then. And matter of fact, I laughed because when Spurrier got there in 1990, Emmitt Smith was about to be a senior, and he told Emmitt Smith, "You might as well go ahead and go pro because we don't run the ball around here." And my dad said, "Oh boy, we're in trouble." So, you know, but he was kind of the greatest ever, you know. But we just haven't been real successful.
So, do you follow the pros more, or
I don't follow the pros hardly at all. Just college.
Really?
I mean, I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna like take my day off to watch it, you know, because I like so many people, man. It's like I like so many different people on so many different teams, you know.
Right.
It's just been, you know, Percy Harvin, you know, he was one of my, you know, all-time favorites, you know. But those guys are gone, and I like college, man. It's just a different game, you know. It's like these people are like, you know, it's just different, you know, the passion, it's just a different game, you know. Different game. Yeah, definitely. But I love Tim Tebow, man. I wanted him to succeed so bad. You know,
well, he has succeeded in many other ways outside of
he's a great person.
Sports.
He just,
he's made a name for himself. He's supposed to be like a really just nice, down to earth guy.
He is, man. It's just he's a great dude, and you know, I like everything he did. He won titles for us, and I can't take that away, man. You know, he's a good dude.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk a little bit what I'm wearing right here. True Victory.
Man, that's good
I wanted to support your charity.
That's awesome.
And so I got this with the old next on the back.
And you know, that's something I don't even advertise, you know, and people ask all the time. And True Victory is some really good guys. And the main reason is they're veteran owned. And, you know, they just stumbled across me one time a year and a half ago, probably, and was like, "Hey man, you know, let's send you a shirt. We're in the military." I was like, "Oh, my dad's was in the military." And it just kind of went on like that. And now, you know, I don't make nothing off of that. They could, all I had to get is free shirts. I said, "I don't need your money, man. Y'all do, you know," they donate like so much to the, you know, the military veterans and stuff like that. So I'm cool, you know, but it's, man, besides all that, there's some great shirts, man. And I've been wearing them for a couple of years, and they're some of my favorite, like the quality, and like, they're just really nice, man. You know? Yeah,
I will have to say, wearing this, it's a very comfortable, and I'll tell you what else I like.
Definitely is.
I don't like shirts that have like the very big like neck.
Yeah.
Those wide necks.
Yeah,
because they always just
here,
more stretch. They stretch way out. This has a nice tight neckline.
It does.
That I like, and it's really coming. Now, the one thing I will have to say, I ordered an extra large, and for those of you out there that want to order shirts like this online, and I think you go to, you'll have to go to, we'll put up your social media stuff, and you've got links to be able to get these shirts. But order them probably how they should fit. Like I'm like one of these tweener guys. Like sometimes I wear a large, sometimes it's an extra large.
Me too, dude.
So I got the extra large, and it was very big. But
extra large.
It shrunk perfectly. When I put it in the wash, I usually hang dry my shirts. I put it in the dryer. It shrunk down to the perfect size. So I'm just letting you know.
Mine did the same thing.
When you buy shirts online, sometimes you never know what you're going to get.
No, you don't. And that was one of the reasons I stuck with them, because everybody wants to send me a shirt or a hat. But when they sent me the first few, and I was like, man, these are some really comfortable shirts, you know? And so I just started wearing them, and I wore a couple in the video, and then they were just like, man, we'll send you a couple. And after a while, I was just like, you know, these are actually quality stuff. So I'll continue to wear it, you know, but I don't really advertise for them. I mean, I don't go on there and be like, click my link. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt. If somebody asks, I'll tell them, you know. But they have all different colors, you know, and tons of different styles, you know, and that's why I tell people they got a lot of different things, you know. They're pretty. They're in Florida. They're out of South Florida.
That's awesome.
So that was kind of cool.
My dad lives in Florida. I'll be there in a few weeks as well.
Yeah. So I was like, and it's hard to find a company that's, you know, that's not about, trying to get over on somebody. These are really good guys. They're all military and first responders, and they're really good guys, man. That's kind of why I kind of stuck by them, because I think they're.
Well,
really
I didn't buy this and wear it for pandering. I wanted to support them as well because they do support the military because they do. It said more specifically, I think, on there that some of the proceeds go to the Vietnam War Memorial Fund or something like that.
Yeah, all the shirts in my line, I think 5% goes to the Vietnam, Veterans Memorial, and so or $5 I think from each shirt.
Yeah,
and so I've just
really cool.
Yeah, it is,
and
cool.
they're not very
really
expensive.
Cool,
so $5 means they're probably not making a lot of money.
No, and they're not. And I told them, I said, man, I'm not trying to make I'm not selling a million of these things, and I'm not on here selling shirts. You guys just send me some shirts. You guys keep whatever. You do whatever. I'm good, man. And I got a bunch of shirts. They send me shirts all the time, and I wear them. I wear them because that's all I got. And they, they're orange and blue, and I like to wear the shirts. But if they weren't any good, I would have got rid of them a long time ago. That's for sure.
Right,
but it's cool. It's cool.
We'll put social media links up. So biggest thing I think to do is just go to your LinkTree.
My LinkTree,
website,
and I have my own shirts in there as well. There's a company called Bonfire that actually makes shirts one at a time when you order it. And I have neck shirts on there with the Gator head on the front. I wear some of them on my videos, and it says next on the back. I just don't advertise them. I think I've sold 50 in the last year. It's there if somebody wants it. They're there too. It's the same thing. But they're kind of shirts that I design.
So if anybody wants to follow you on social media, you'll be able to. All the links are there. The stores are there. The True Victory links are there. For your other apparel is there. So that's probably the best source.
And I tell people, if you go to my LinkTree, no matter what profile you're at, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook, if you click that LinkTree, it's going to have my real social media. You click on there, it's going to take you. And here's what's funny about the fake accounts on Facebook is they actually post my LinkTree even on the fake accounts. But if you click on it and click Facebook, it goes to my real page. And I tell people, if you would just click that LinkTree, you would see that I'm not Michael from New York. Right. And it goes to my real page. So that's kind of helped me a little bit, but
yeah, they're promoting it one way or the other.
Yeah.
One way or the other. They're giving you more exposure.
They can't do anything. Facebook's the worst, but TikTok and Instagram, people know that's not me. I've been on there too long, I
guess that begs another question. I mean, we talk a lot about the positive side of this and how much fun you're having with it. What's the worst part about this this celebrity status from social media? What is the worst thing that you've found?
I think just the negativity. If you let it get to you, it definitely will. Like people can leave some pretty mean comments. It doesn't bother me because I kind of laugh. Sometimes I'll be like, man, these dudes are idiots, and I'll just want to say stuff. But that's what I think gets most people. When they make a video and you got 18 people telling them, they're idiots and this and that. People don't handle that very well. And I see a lot of people, and I know a lot of people that it takes them down. It's not easy to navigate through that, but I just try not to pay attention to it because I know what I'm doing, there's always somebody else. I can't please the world. I'm not on here to save the world. I'm just trying to help somebody fix their door. It's like, I can only do so much, You
probably got a lot of bite marks on your tongue.
It is, man. I really have to be careful now because so many people, if I say the wrong thing, it's like, it just gets blown out of proportion. So I really try not to, say a whole lot of stuff, but it's tough because I am just a regular dude, And
I think sometimes it's okay to remind people of that. You know what I mean?
Every now and I try to be respectful when I answer them usually.
Almost like say that, you try to be respectful. You try to, be mindful of that, but look, you're not some someone who was bred in Hollywood. You're just a regular guy like everybody else. So if I say anything that offends you, I'm sorry. I'm not. It's. I'm not
tell people all the time. Like I don't even say a cuss word. What could you? You're mad because I fixed something a different way. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? It's so dumb. I could do all that, but I don't.
I do find your tips and tricks very helpful. So
I use this. Man.
People should follow you, not just because. I should step back. There's the way that a lot of people get followers is when someone sees that they've got millions of followers, or like, oh, like it's FOMO, right? It's like fear of missing out.
Right.
You know what I mean, they have the FOMO and they're like, oh, I want to follow them too because I want to say that I'm following. I think genuinely, if they're doing that and they're going to eventually absorb something that you're saying and it's going to help somebody.
And I think a lot of people, they tell me like they'll see a video or something, but I won't always follow somebody from just a video. But if I click on their account and see 3 or 4 videos I like, I'm going to follow this guy. I think that's a lot of it kind of happens like that. They'll see me 4 times in a week and they're like, all right, let me follow this dude, because it's not just one video. Like they're all relevant to somebody,
Right, exactly. So what do you got coming up next? So what kind of trade shows or anything like that you got coming up that you want people to show up at? Something for WD-40 you're doing?
No, not anything with them for a little while. I did Vegas and Chicago, and that's about it for now. But I'll have more videos, in every video. I only make a video every now and then for them. That's what I tell people too. What I have to say, thanks for sponsoring me. Thanks for sponsoring this video. When I say that, that's the videos they sponsor. The rest of that stuff, that's just me.
Just wait, because you love
that's where a lot of people don't understand. Yeah, I said, man, I do. I have to say that. And there is videos you'll tell. I'll be like, thanks for sponsoring me. And it'll say paid sponsorship right on the bottom of the video. But they're far and few between. It's not every video.
People don't read, and
they don't, man. People know everything. It's not all it is supposed to crack up to be.
It's the shameful thing about
I still
the
work.
But,
yeah, they're like, man, you got many followers. You making.
I applaud you though, because you are doing something positive. You're helping people out there. You're not just trying to entertain people. You are helping people.
Yeah, that's the best part. You got no idea.
Supporting a worthy cause for the veterans.
Yeah.
How about Mark? I've been talking too much. You got anything you want to chime in on?
No, I've been just watching
chilling,
videos and things like
just
that.
chilling.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking the right questions, but you're definitely more entertaining than most people. And I think another reason why probably a lot of people like your videos and watch it, like I've seen videos from people who are maybe doing things with electronics around the house, tell you how to fix them, but then you need $1,000 worth of tools and equipment to do it, where you're doing things where, okay, just get this needle nose, needle
I try to do that,
and take this little, what could be white or blue or whatever, and the shower head to pull it out, and get
people
more
are
power.
so mad about that.
Which I have to try.
Oh, it's gold.
Because my water, it's that hot and cold on both sides, and now that it's summertime, it's hard to get that right ratio. Then, of course, all that low flow shit.
I mean, there's everything you buy, it's like nothing comes out of there. And I'm like, it's not, I mean, it takes an hour to get the shampoo out of here. And people are like, well, your water bill's going to double. How is your water bill going to double? I mean, that's ridiculous.
You'll take shorter showers.
Right. It might go up a couple of dollars.
Yeah. What cracks me up, people tell me about that stuff. Like I live in an old neighborhood. These houses are built in the 30s and 40s. So when I got this house, it has one of those low flow toilets in there.
Man,
so they think you're terrible. Saving all this money, and then of course it started screwing up the sewer line. But I noticed then, well, I have no choice but to do other things to keep flow going. And I'm not going through
these toilets
filling up
don't
a tub
push.
once in a while and turning things on.
Yep, I know all about that.
When I start doing all that stuff, you know what? What's my bill go up? $8 or $9 a quarter. Like it's really not. The thing is, when you're saving energy or water or sewage or anything like that, that's great and all, but people don't realize when you're using a minimum, they're still slamming you with a big charge.
You're in there for 30 minutes.
On top of it, it's not going to triple and
right. It's not going to do that. People say that, and I'm just like, I don't see how. I mean, you think your water bill is going to double because you made your shower have a little bit more water? I mean, we were kids, man. You could flush a freaking watermelon down the toilet. It'd be like, and it was gone. And now it's like you can't even put 3 pieces of toilet paper in there. It's not, you're holding the hand on it. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
But the new shower heads, though, they've started to glue those things in there. Some of them don't like to come out. You can just take a drill and drill a little hole in there and just put it on there and try it and make the hole a little bit bigger, and you can trial and error like that. The shower head I had was the basic cheap shower head that pops right out. And some of the other ones will pop out too. But I mean, I know you guys have been to the hotels, and I mean, you turn the water on, you're like, my God, I mean, there's nothing coming out of there.
Yep.
And they've got two or three restrictors in there, 4 or 5 screens, and it's like you're in the shower for 30 minutes. It's like, this is so dumb, You're not really saving in the long run,
No, you give people tips on how to go into the hotel and change the flow of those.
Everybody in the comment section was like, I'm taking the needle nose to the hotel. I was like, y'all do what you want. I was like, and other people are like, man, there's a water shortage in the world. I can't believe you're telling people. It's like, well, I don't have a water shortage here. I mean, if you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. You can put it right back in. I mean, it's cool,
If you want to do it, this is how to do it.
It's cool. I live in Florida. We get a foot of hurricane every other week. We're good on water, man.
Well, like I said, I'll be down there visiting my dad in a few weeks.
Yeah, water's cheap here, man.
Hey, you should do this step for your dad's shower down there too.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to do it. I'm going to just.
Where in Florida? Whereabouts you live?
He lives in Riverview near Tampa.
Okay.
So he lived for many years in Apollo Beach, right in Tampa Bay
right
there.
on.
But he's lived for the last handful of years in Riverview. But so I get down there often as I can. Mark and I even try to get down for watch the Super Bowl with him in February. Man. So it's a lot of fun.
It's nice down there. I used to live in Key West when I was young. A couple of years. My dad was in the Army. We were stationed down there. It was pretty nice, but. Everybody thinks that's where Florida is. No, I'm way up here. I'm almost to Georgia. I'm like 5 minutes from Georgia. Yeah, and people are like, what do you know about cold? You live in Florida. I'm like, Florida? Everything in Florida is not Miami.
Right.
It was 12 degrees here last year. I mean, it's not. I'm in Georgia. It snowed here before.
Mark and I actually lived in Florida for back in the 80s. Mark for a year, me for 2 years, around the Tampa area. So, and like I'm nice, even though I live in Pittsburgh, but I consider myself a Florida guy. Like I'm in my brain and in my heart, I'm in Florida. So, anyway, so hey, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us, Gator. Yeah, hey, JMG8TOR. Make sure that's that because all the others are fakes and phonies.
Yep.
And
Instagram and TikTok's my main thing. You can find me on there.
Yeah,
you guys can email. Awesome. I got my email and my Linktree. If y'all need help, I'll try my best to answer you.
Well, we'll try not to bother you too much, but if there's anything that we're not finding and we're in a pinch, I'll be reaching out to you for sure.
That's right. I appreciate you, man.
All right, so for the Big Gator down in Florida, I'm Michael Kadrie and the Big M over there, and we will see you next time on Blabber Brain Show. Why don't you take us out here, Gator?
All right, then next. I appreciate you guys.
We'll see you guys later.